I wasn't invited, but they still sent me the bill, $2, $500, for a celebration I never asked to be part of. That was the moment I realized I was never really part of the family to begin with. So I did something they never saw coming, and I made sure they'd never forget it. It's just one dinner. Don't be petty. That's what my mom said, pressing a $1,500 bill into my hand. For a meal I wasn't even invited to. Oh, you want to see petty? I smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. It was the kind of smile that says, you just made the biggest mistake of your life. And I made sure they'd never forget it. I stood outside the bistro, the restaurant glass door cold against my fingertips. I was shaking, not from the weather, but from what I saw. Through that door, I could see them, my entire family, laughing, toasting, living their best life. And me? I was on the outside, uninvited, unwanted, unseen. My name is Elena. I'm 36 years old, and I've always been the one pushed to the background, the invisible daughter, the one who had to shout just to be noticed, even after doing everything right. Top of my class at a prestigious Ivy League school, senior director at a top consulting firm, financially independent since I was barely 20. But somehow, I was still never enough for them. The spotlight never wavered from my younger sister, Sierra, who's now 32. It clung to her like she was the only one who deserved to shine. And I thought, foolishly, that maybe this dinner was different. That maybe, just maybe, it was about me this time. I had no idea this night would become the moment that shattered decades of quiet endurance. A lifetime of being second place. The signs were always there. This wasn't just about one dinner. It was about every time they made me feel like I didn't matter. When Sierra got a participation ribbon in a third-grade spelling bee, my parents threw her a backyard party. Balloons, cupcakes, neighbors, music. You'd think she won the Nobel Prize. When I got accepted into an Ivy League university, on a partial scholarship, no less, my mom glanced at the letter, then asked if I could cover the rest of the tuition myself. When Sierra barely scraped through high school, they rewarded her with a brand new car. When I graduated college with honors, they didn't even show up. Sierra had a mild cold that day. Apparently, that mattered more. And whenever I tried to speak up, to say, hey, this isn't fair, I was always met with the same dismissive lines. You're just jealous. You're the strong one. You've always been so independent, Elena. We love you both the same. But their actions always told a different story. Even when I was included, it was like an afterthought. Holiday invites came at the last second, long after plans had been made. I'd show up to family dinners only to find the gifts already unwrapped, the stories already shared. My birthdays were always quick, quiet, and almost forgettable. Sierra's? Oh, hers were weekend-long events with themes and matching outfits and catered meals. And then came the money, always framed as helping the family. Back in college, I juggled 3 part-time jobs just to stay afloat. Still, they'd call me in the middle of midterms asking for money. Sierra needs a new laptop. The car needs repairs. She had an accident. You've got scholarships and jobs, Elena. You got extra, right? And like a fool, I sent what I could. Then I'd eat noodles for weeks while Sierra posted selfies at sushi bars and designer outlets. Even after college, the pattern didn't change. Could I help with her auto insurance? Contribute to a gift for my parents' anniversary? Cover her credit card debt? You can afford it now, Elena. You've got that big corporate paycheck. But every request came laced with guilt, and every refusal was twisted into a character flaw. That promotion last month? The biggest of my career. Director level. Youngest in the firm's history. I called home, full of excitement. My dad listened for maybe 10 seconds, then handed the phone to my mom. Her response? I can't talk. Sierra stopping by to show us her vacation photos. That moment stayed with me. But what came next? That dinner invitation? It became the final crack in the foundation I'd been patching for years. Hope is a dangerous thing. Then came the text. Family celebration dinner. This Friday, 7 p.m. at the Pinnacle. Come if you can. No explanation. No hint of what we were celebrating. Just another cold, tossed-off message like so many before it. But still a flicker of hope sparked in my chest. Maybe, just maybe, they were finally acknowledging my promotion. Maybe they saw me. Maybe I mattered this time. I clear my calendar. Cancel a meeting with one of our firm's biggest clients. Picked out a new dress, sleek, elegant, confident. Bought a $250 bottle of champagne to bring. I stood in front of the mirror, wondering if this was the night I'd finally feel like part of the family. Like I belonged. The Pinnacle is one of the most exclusive spots in the city. High ceilings, soft lighting, everything gleaming. I arrived at exactly 7 p.m., nerves fluttering in my stomach, hope still stubbornly alive. And through the glass, there they were. My parents. Sierra. All 4 grandparents. 3 aunts. 2 uncles. A dozen cousins. A full table. Decorated. Laughing. Glasses raised. And a banner floating above them. Cheers to your promotion, Sierra. My chest clenched so tightly it hurt. Sierra had just moved from junior to full-time sales associate at a retail shop she'd worked at for less than a year. That was the celebration. Not my record-breaking promotion. Not the years I'd spent clawing my way to the top. No, it was Sierra's retail promotion that brought them all together in that glittering dining room. Still, I walked in. I smiled. I smiled so hard it felt like my face might crack. Clutching the champagne, I approached the table. The moment they saw me, everything stopped. Voices hushed. Laughter died. Eyes turned. And my mother's expression? Irritation. No warmth. No surprise. Just annoyance. I scanned the table. Every chair was taken. Every plate full. Every glass poured. No seat for me. Elena, my mom said under her breath, standing halfway up and blocking my path. There's no space for you. We didn't think you'd actually show. There was a ringing in my ears, sharp, painful. A heat rising in my throat I couldn't swallow down. You said this was something important, I whispered. It is, she replied coldly. For Sierra, you're always so busy with work, we didn't want to pressure you. In that moment, 20 years of being second best collapsed into a single, brutal truth. I was never meant to be included. Quietly, I placed a bottle of champagne at the edge of the table. I turned, and I walked out. The price of being forgotten, I drove home in silence. My hands trembled on the wheel. Tears blurred the traffic lights and turned street signs into smudges. But I didn't stop. I just needed to get back to my apartment, the one space that was truly mine, the one place I didn't have to earn a seat. By the next afternoon, there was a knock at my door. Not unexpected, but still it made my stomach twist. It was them, my parents, standing in the hallway with the same expression they always wore when they came asking for something. Expectant, entitled. They didn't come with an apology. They came with an invoice. The bill came out to $6,000, my father said as he stepped inside, like it was just another Tuesday. He said it in the same tone he used years ago, during my college finals, when he called to tell me Sierra needed $3,000 for a study abroad deposit. Your portion is $2,500, he added. I blinked. I wasn't even at the table. You were invited, my mom chimed in, arms crossed like a judge passing sentence. You told me yesterday you didn't expect me to come, I said. Calmly. Steady, though my insides were shaking. That's not the point, my dad waved it off. It was a family dinner. You make good money now. Families help each other. Then came the real blow. After everything we've done for you, you're really going to argue over contributing to your sister's big night? What have they done for me? They hadn't paid for my education. I had. They skipped my graduation. They forgot my birthdays. They turned my victories into footnotes and Sierras into headlines. I'm not paying for a dinner I wasn't welcome at, I said. Quietly, but firmly. My dad's face darkened. So, you're still bitter about Sierra's success? This isn't about Sierra, I said. But even I knew that wasn't true. It had always been about Sierra. To them. You've resented her since the day she was born, my mother snapped. You've always been distant. Too busy. Too cold. We try to include you, but you always pull away. And now you won't even celebrate her. I stood. I think it's time for you to leave. They didn't go quietly. My mom's eyes filled with those practiced tears she always summoned when she wanted the upper hand. You'll regret being this selfish, my father said sharply as they stepped into the hall. Family lasts forever, Elena. That promotion of yours won't keep you warm at night. I shut the door behind them. Soft click. Hard truth. It should have ended there. But it didn't. The public execution, the next morning, I hadn't even finished my first sip of coffee before my phone blew up. Notifications. Dozens of them. I hadn't even opened my eyes fully, and yet there it was. The ambush. My family had gone online. Together. Like they rehearsed it. My mother's post was polished, carefully written, dripping with sadness. She painted herself as a heartbroken mother. "I don't know where I went wrong," she wrote. "My daughter, who we've always loved, refused to show up for her sister. She won't even contribute to a simple family dinner. I am devastated." It was the emotional bait people love to eat up, and they did. Sierra didn't bother with subtleties. Her post was blunt. Imagine your own sister skipping your promotion dinner and then refusing to help pay the bill. Sometimes blood isn't thicker than water. Within minutes, the replies came rolling in like a wave of knives. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't seen in years, all voicing their disappointment, all calling me out. They remembered every moment I was cold at a family gathering. Every time I didn't laugh loud enough at Sierra's stories. Every time I stayed quiet in the corner while they toasted her. She's so arrogant now. She thinks she's better than us. Money changed her. I sat on my kitchen floor, my phone shaking in my hands. And then I broke. Not quiet tears. Not the kind you can wipe away and pretend you're fine. No, these were deep, choking sobs, the kind that come from years of being buried. From every forgotten birthday, every skipped graduation, every time I was treated like the extra piece in someone else's puzzle. That morning, I collapsed under the weight of it all. Later that night, I called my therapist and begged for an emergency session. I spilled everything. And when I finally stopped crying long enough to breathe, she said it. "This is emotional abuse." The words stunned me, not because I didn't believe her, but because hearing it out loud made it real. Then she asked the harder question, "What are you going to do about it?" And that's when something inside me shifted. The truth finds its voice. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I couldn't think. The anxiety I thought I'd left behind in my 20s came roaring back like it had never left. Chest tight, hands trembling, mind spinning. Their posts weren't just online smears. They were poison, seeping into the cracks they had carved in me for years. But then, something unexpected happened. A message. Short, simple, quiet. From Allison, my cousin, my aunt's daughter, one of the few who'd always stayed neutral. "I know what's really going on, Elena. I've seen it for years. It's not right." That message changed everything. Suddenly, I didn't feel so crazy, so alone, so invisible. The next morning, I got to work. I began compiling everything. Screenshots of the last-minute text inviting me to dinner. Photos from past events. Me in the background, or not there at all. Emails I'd written, begging to talk about the imbalance. Always met with silence or blame. I wasn't going to let them control the story this time. So I wrote one my own. A post. Not emotional, not angry. Just the truth. I laid it all out. The years of favoritism. The cold invitations. The dinner where I wasn't given a seat. The $2,500 they demanded for a celebration I was never truly part of. I spoke, for the first time, without fear. Without editing myself to protect their image. I hovered over that post button for what felt like an eternity. Would this destroy everything? Had there ever really been anything to destroy? I exhaled, and I clicked post. Then I turned off my phone, grabbed my jacket, and walked out the door. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't running away. I was stepping into my own freedom. The fallout hits hard. 3 hours later, I came back home. I sat on the couch, took a breath, turned my phone back on, and boom. It was like lighting a match in a room full of gas. The reaction was instant, explosive. My parents responded first and fast. My dad, who's a mid-level manager at an insurance company, sent me an email. He'd CC'd someone from his company's legal department. He was accusing me of defamation, claimed I'd caused them serious reputational harm. The company rep's reply? A generic line about reviewing the matter. Clearly, they had no idea what they were dragged into. My dad forwarded that reply back to me as if it were a legal threat. Proof I was in trouble. As if I'd be scared. My mom? She went for my job. She called my office. Told the front desk she was worried about her unstable daughter. Said I was making up lies about the family. tried to spin it into a psychological crisis, hoping HR would get involved. But my manager? She knew me. She called me directly, told me exactly what happened, and said, "Don't worry, we've got your back." Then came Sierra's move. She uploaded a long, dramatic video. Tears, pauses, that soft, sad voice she used when she wanted attention. "I don't know what I ever did to her," she said. "She's tearing our family apart just because she can't handle not being the center of attention." And then another message from my father. "You'll regret this public attack for the rest of your life." Followed by a thinly veiled threat. "You know I got industry contacts. I'd hate for this to affect your future." That fear I knew so well. That tight, paralyzing grip from my childhood. It tried to crawl back in. But this time, I didn't let it win. I forwarded every message, every voicemail, every screenshot to a lawyer friend. And for the first time, I didn't feel small. I felt ready. Because the girl they used to corner? She'd grown up. Truth that can't be buried support came from places I never expected. Allison, the cousin who messaged me first? She didn't just speak privately. She went public. She commented under my post. I've seen it. Every word she said is true. She shared her own stories, moments when she saw how differently I was treated, times I was overlooked, dismissed, pushed aside while Sierra was celebrated for doing the bare minimum. Then other messages began rolling in. 2 more cousins messaged me quietly. Both had felt it. Both had seen it. Both had stayed silent until now. And then my uncle, the one who'd always been kind but distant, left a comment that shook me. "I've watched this pattern for years. Elena's story is real. And it's time someone said it out loud." That comment opened the floodgates. A childhood friend, someone who'd been to birthday parties, family barbecues, even holidays, posted something that made my breath catch. I remember wondering why they treated Elena so differently. I never knew what to say. I wish I had said something sooner. The weight started to lift. Not completely, but just enough to breathe. And then came the detail that shattered my parents' narrative. Allison revealed the truth. Before the dinner, my mom had told everyone, "Don't tell Elena until the last minute. She probably won't come anyway." It wasn't forgetfulness. It was deliberate. A decision to exclude me. Again. Desperate to take back control of the story, my mother started posting old family pictures. "I've always loved both my daughters equally," the captions read. "You don't just stop being a mother." My father doubled down. Claimed they'd made sacrifices for my education. None of it true. Sierra posted another video, accusing me of craving attention and destroying the family. But the damage control wasn't working. The truth, once spoken, refused to crawl back into the shadows. Cutting the cord 3 days after I posted the truth, I made the hardest decision of my life. I cut them off. Completely. I blocked their phone numbers, emails, social media accounts. I called my building's front desk and gave strict instructions. Do not let them in, under any circumstances. I alerted workplace security in case they try to show up again. This time, there would be no more sneak attacks, no more guilt-laced ambushes. And the moment I did all that, relief. Not the kind you expect. Not joy. Not triumph. Something quieter. Deeper. It was like someone lifted a lead blanket off my chest. A blanket I didn't realize I'd been carrying since I was a child. That constant ache for approval, it started to fade. That deep, gnawing anxiety that used to live in my bones, it finally loosened its grip. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I had to prove anything to anyone. I wasn't the bitter daughter. I wasn't the difficult one. I was simply a woman, healing. I began building a new circle, a chosen family, friends who showed up, co-workers who respected me, cousins who weren't afraid to speak up anymore. I started therapy again, weekly this time. We unpacked it all. The gaslighting, the emotional manipulation, the decades of guilt that were never mine to carry. And I finally understood something. It was never about me being cold. It was about them needing someone to blame. I was the scapegoat, and no amount of success, love, or self-sacrifice was ever going to rewrite the role they'd assigned me. But now, I was writing my own story. Freedom has a name. 3 months later, something strange happened. A message slipped through. Somehow, Despite the blocks and barriers, Sierra got a message to me. It wasn't angry. It wasn't dramatic. It was honest. I always knew they treated me better, she wrote. But it was easier to go along with it than to speak up. You were stronger than I ever was. But did you really have to burn down the whole family? Couldn't you have just walked away quietly? I stared at that message for a long time. And then I didn't reply. Because even in her moment of honesty, she made it about herself. She didn't ask how I was. She didn't apologize. She didn't acknowledge the pain I carried. She just wanted me to keep carrying it quietly. So she wouldn't have to feel uncomfortable. And that's the problem, isn't it? They never wanted me to speak up. They just wanted me to keep playing my part. Through mutual friends, I heard the rest. My parents were still telling everyone I had ruined the family. Still twisting the story to make themselves look like victims. Still refusing to take responsibility for any of it. They tried reaching out through other people, not to make amends, but to demand I fix the damage I had caused to their image. But I was no longer that desperate daughter, chasing scraps of love. I didn't feel anger anymore, or sadness, or shame. I felt free. Then, something beautiful happened. My mom's estranged sister, Aunt Kennedy, reached out. We hadn't spoken in 15 years. She saw my post and said, "They treated you the same way they treated me." She'd been the scapegoat in her family too. My mother? The golden child. The cycle had just repeated. Different generation. Same cruelty. Over coffee, Kennedy looked me in the eye and said, "The only difference is you had the courage to speak." And that's when I knew this wasn't just my healing. It was generational. The seat I built for myself 1 year later. Everything in my life had changed. The confidence I used to fake in boardrooms now was real. Without the constant weight of needing their approval, I rose higher at work than ever before. Not because I was trying to prove something, but because I finally believed I was worth it. My friendships deepened. I chose people who saw me, heard me, and never needed me to shrink to make them feel taller. I even started dating someone who came from a family full of warmth, stability, and kindness. The kind I used to think only existed in movies. And holidays? I created new ones. My own. Last Thanksgiving, I hosted dinner in my home. Friends, cousins who'd supported me. Even a few co-workers with nowhere else to go. There were no fake smiles. No unspoken tension. Just laughter, stories, music, and love that didn't come with strings attached. And it healed something in me. Through whispers and secondhand updates, I heard bits and pieces about my old family. My parents still played the victim. Still said I ruined everything. Still refused to speak my name without bitterness. Sierra got engaged. They were planning an extravagant wedding. I wouldn't be invited. And even if I were, I wouldn't go. But this time, the exclusion didn't hurt. It felt irrelevant. I didn't need their table anymore. I had built my own. I finally understood the truth. Family isn't blood. It's love. It's respect. It's the people who make space for you, not just physically, but emotionally. And that $2,500 dinner bill they try to force on me, that was the final invoice for a lifetime of emotional debt they claimed I owed. By refusing to pay it, literally and metaphorically, I purchased my freedom. The empty seat at that dinner wasn't a punishment. It was a gift. Because sometimes the most radical act of self-love is walking away from the table where you're only given scraps and building your own, where everyone is truly welcome. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more real-life family dramas. Let me know in the comments what you think about today's story. Was it fair or totally messed up? See you in the next one.